Good morning, everyone. If I was smart, I would just say, I'm glad you're all here. Go talk to Marv and let's have lunch. But unfortunately, we've prepared a few remarks, but welcome. Welcome to Homecoming 2014. I'm John Shafer, Vice President of Advancement at the school, and by default, the school's unofficial sports historian. It's great to see you here this morning as we celebrate the return of varsity football at SEM and the legacy of the most accomplished football coach in the school's history, Marv Antinnes. Welcome also to the rebirth of Nesbitt Stadium. This facility was the finest athletic complex in northeastern Pennsylvania in 1922 when it was constructed, and we feel it is now, once again, thanks to the total refurbishment that took place between January and July of 2013. We are truly indebted and grateful to the generosity of so many alumni and friends of SEM who made this refurbishment possible. Thank you. Wyoming Seminary played its first football game against the Harry Hillman Academy in 1884, 130 years ago this fall. As many of you know, in 1892, SEM played the first ever night football game against Mansfield Normal School. In 1992, SEM and the Blue Knights were taken by Marv Antinnes back to play a night game in Mansfield. Although we played several JV games under the lights last year, Coach Jeff Holloway and the SEM Blue Knights will play the school's first varsity home football game ever under the lights on October 24 when Brooklyn Poly Prep comes to Kingston. I'm sure that most of you read the wonderful article published last fall in the SEM Alumni Journal about the history of SEM football. We cherish all of the 130 years of football at SEM, but our focus this morning begins in 1967 with the hiring of Marv Antinnes as SEM's football coach. In his 26 years guiding the SEM football team, his overall record was 133, 47, and 3. Despite the gloried success of the SEM football program over the 8 decades before Marv Antinnes became the head coach, the football team never had a perfect season, being undefeated and untied. Well, that changed in the fall of 1969 as the Blue Knights went 7-0, scoring 206 points to their opponents' 59. We are honored that 6 members of that team are with us this morning to celebrate the 45th anniversary of that accomplishment. Now, I've got the names of people who registered, so if I miss anybody during the day, I apologize. But with Gary Biscelli, Terry Bird, Kevin Hardiman, John Mosca, Tim Grip, Paul Schmidt, and coaches Steve Allenkoff and Jim Kersey stand to be recognized for that historic accomplishment. It was during the mid and late 1970s, however, that Marv Antinnes really put SEM on the regional and national football map with a remarkable 32-game unbeaten streak. That was the longest high school winning streak on the East Coast at the time. The 1976, 77, 78, and 79 teams all were undefeated and untied during this incredible accomplishment. I want to recognize the football players who contributed to this streak, but feel there are 2 individuals that I need to single out. Louis Butera and Bill Lamoureux, members of the SEM class of 1980, played on all 4 of these undefeated teams and never experienced a loss during their entire seminary football career. Joining Louis and Billy with that distinction is Jack Reese, but unfortunately he could not be with us this morning. But Billy and Louis, if you'd stand and be recognized, appreciate it. The other players who contributed to the 32-game streak with us this morning are Russ Starr from the class of 79, Tim Jordan from the class of 78, Howard Lewis from the class of 79, and Richard Rogers, class of 79, and also Coach Gary Vandenberg. If you'd stand, please. The 6th and final undefeated and untied season in the school's history took place in the fall of 1985. Bracketing this undefeated season were 2 other very successful campaigns that resulted in Marv Antinnes leading his troops to a 19-game winning streak. We're pleased that several members of the undefeated 85 season are with us this morning. Darrell Boych and Mike Crampton, if you'd stand, appreciate it. As this day unfolds, there are going to be so many stories and reminiscences shared among and between Marv and the players and coaches who've returned to campus. I'm going to have a little more to say about that in a few moments, but before I introduce Dr. Kip Nygren, SEM President, and Dick Goldberg, Class of 1955, Chairman of the Board, I'd like to recognize several football alumni who played for the Blue Knights before the arrival of Marv Antinnes, who are with us this morning. Charlie Henney from the Class of 1958. Lynn Sheehan and Lou Tice from the Class of 1960. Steve Allenkoff and Scott Burnside from the Class of 1962. And Rob Burnside and Phil Santarelli from the Class of 1967. Now I would like to ask all of the football, alumni, coaches, managers who've returned to campus this weekend to stand and be acknowledged. Thank you. It's now my pleasure to introduce Kip Nygren, the president of Wyoming Seminary, to bring official greetings on behalf of the school. Yep.